Ahoy! And welcome to Manning Overboard, Happy Hour with Hotcakes and the Captain, a show about the good in liquid life,
where we talk about bars, bartending, and booze.
She's Hotcakes.
And he's the Captain.
Thanks for coming aboard. Now, let's go overboard. Oh, ahoy! Welcome to Manning Overboard, Happy Hour with Hotcakes and the Captain. I'm the Captain, Rich Manning, and with me, as always, is my beautiful, lovely, and talented wife, Heather Hotcakes.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. So, Hotcakes, what are we drinking?
Well, as we do, we are drinking in honor of our guests. So, for you, my dear, I made, a little birdie told me that this was their favorite drink to drink in the off-season when they wanted just to have something light and refreshing. So, it's just a Gin Ricky.
Beauty. Love a Gin Ricky. And what do you make for yourself?
And for me, I made one of their drinks called the Oaxacan Ice Water.
Ooh.
Which is mezcal, lemon, agave, grapefruit bitters, and a little bit of soda water to top it all off.
That sounds dangerous.
I can't wait to dig in.
I can't wait to dig in. But before we dig in, we have a guest to announce, right?
Yes.
Yes. So today's guest is Aaron Doc DeFeo. He is the owner-operator of Little Rituals in Phoenix, winner of 2025 Tales of the Cocktail Spirit Award for the Best U.S. Hotel Bar. Congratulations.
Woo-hoo!
He's also a partner of Arizona Cocktail Weekend, the world-class drinks festival that goes down in Phoenix every spring. It's a beautiful place. You should go.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a really good time.
Get your
and
tickets.
after earning a creative writing degree at the University of Arizona, Doc wrote his own ticket to success in the drinks industry, cutting his teeth in the hotel and casino world in Tucson before moving to Phoenix and helping to secure a city spot in the nation's cocktail scene, along with Arizona Cocktail Weekend partner Ross Simon. Shout out to Ross.
Hi, Ross.
Yeah, we'll have you on eventually. Along the way, he founded the Tucson chapter of the U.S. Bartenders Guild and graduated from the prestigious Bar 5 program.
Oh.
But perhaps his most impressive accolade might be the time that Norm Macdonald allegedly made fun of him for his bitters collection. So without further ado, he is a student of the game, a joy to see whenever our paths cross, and we're happy to have him on. So welcome, Doc DeFeo to Manning Overboard. Or should I
Thank
say,
you so much for having me.
If I can be so crass, what's up, Doc?
I've never heard that one before, Rich. Thank you.
Thank you. So what are we drinking?
Oh, well, I have in front of me a really, really interesting thing today, and this is actually, believe it or not, a cocktail. It is not a glass of wine. It looks like a glass of wine. Something we're actually playing around with right now is the concept of presenting a cocktail like a glass of wine, sort of same serving temperature, just slightly chilled, and it's extremely aromatic. This is using a really cool product here, which is Friedrichsthal Vermouth, which is made entirely from cherries. So this is coming out of Denmark. This is one of the components of the cocktail, and they do a couple things. They make cherry wine, but then they also take that cherry wine and do almost a rancio technique where they put it in like a glass demijohn and let it sit out and fully oxidize. So every bit of that vermouth has a little bit of that rancio in it. So it's really cherry rancio. It's unbelievable. That's kind of one of the backbones for this cocktail. It also has other components like a Sagamore rye whiskey and Johnny Walker Black Scotch. They're adding a really cool barrel element because we want this to kind of smell and taste a little bit like a wine that's been aged. So it's adding those components. We tie it together with a smoky Barbaro Zucca, which is, if you've ever had it before, fantastic.
Yeah.
Chinese rhubarb being kind of the main component, and then we add sort of a cherry acid that has wine tannins and sort of wine acid with dark sweet cherries to sort of round out the cocktail and give it a little bit of dilution and structure. So what you end up with is a cocktail that drinks, looks, smells like a glass of wine, a really complex glass of wine, but it also has that same tannic structure. It's really delicious. Same ABV as a glass of wine too, so it's about 15%.
Okay. That's
holy
fun.
cow! That sounds delightful.
Well, cheers.
Cheers to you, sir. Nothing like a proper rookie. Thank you.
This Oaxacan ice water is crushable. Like that's super easy.
Yeah. I mean, obviously out in Phoenix, you have to have an arsenal of crushable drinks, right? So that totally works.
Yeah, that's an old school recipe. I think that's probably from 15 years ago, 16 years ago. But
where'd you find it?
I dug it up online. It was something back when you were in Tucson, back at the casino, and I can't even remember where I found it, but I saw it. I'm like, this sounds damn delicious, and we got to have it on the show.
Yeah, we love to go digging. We love to go find some old stuff. So, question number one: where did the nickname Doc come from?
Oh, it's an old college thing. It was a Hunter S. Thompson
Okay.
type of thing.
Fantastic.
I was a little bit more wild in my early days. So I was also doing journalism at the time, so it was kind of a nickname that kind of came about through that.
But it stuck.
It did stick, yeah. It stuck for a while. So much to the point now that there's a lot of people that don't know me by any other name. So when they hear Aaron, they wouldn't know who you're talking about. But I think, as I went and I got older, it was kind of harder to like introduce yourself that way when you're, in your 40s. So,
well, it's kind of funny because when we first met, we knew you as Aaron, but then we ran into a couple people that was just talking about you and saying Doc this and Doc that. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So we kind of like went reverse on that, and it just the term Doc, the nickname fits for you though, Aaron, just because you were such a mad scientist with your bar program. You your wine cocktail there is proof positive of that. You were such a creative force behind the bar. So, I mean, it's really cool to see that. So why don't you tell us, I know we talked a little bit about this, but tell us a little bit about your story and how you wound up in the industry.
Well, I didn't actually think this wasn't something I don't think unless you kind of grow up in the hospitality industry and you have parents that work or brothers and sisters that work in it and you have an early foundation in it, I don't think it's ever an industry that people aspire to. Maybe that's changed now over the last 25 years. I think it probably, enough people see enough chef movies and Anthony Bourdain stuff to be like, oh, I want to get into that industry. But in 2000, when I was got my start in the hospitality industry, it was just a means to an end for me. I was in college. I was also writing for a newspaper. I was doing journalism. I was trying to work on a novel, trying to do a few different things like that. And I thought, I need something. At the time, journalism paid nothing. I don't think it's changed, right?
No, it doesn't. No. Sorry, kids. Don't do journalism.
It's I loved it, but it was one of those things where I got passed up for a job at a newspaper. It was a full-time position, and it was paying $8 an hour, and they gave it to somebody else. And I'd been there for a couple of years writing already, freelance. And so I got really upset, and I kind of quit with a huff, and I was like, I'm just going to go get a job, and I got a job being a nightclub bouncer.
Okay.
For $8 an hour. For $8 an hour, believe it or not.
Right.
Which at the time, kids, was enough for you to rent a house and live, right. Which is insane to think about. I mean, it wasn't good living, but it was
you could still do it.
I could do it. Yeah, I think at the time in Tucson, my first house that I was renting was about $400 a month, split between two people.
Yeah.
So $200. Yeah. So it was very doable. So I was doing that, and I was going to school, and then I was on the weekends, I was doing nightclub security, and that I wanted to be like the head of nightclub security, which is insane. I kind of got there, but along the way, they kept saying, why don't you come work in the bar? Like, we'd love for you to bar back. And I said, I don't want to do that. It seems like too much. And I kind of got forced into it. And then I became head bar back, and then I became a bartender, and then I became head bartender, and then I became manager, and so on and so forth. Pretty quickly, I think in my first 4 or 5 years in the industry, I was kind of bar managing at that time, but at the same time bartending. So, but the industry was a very different place then. Cocktails were different, bars were different.
Right.
I was bartending at a very busy college bar, which was considered to be one of the best bars in the city, but we were not doing anything impressive from a cocktail standpoint. So,
Sure.
I did that for a while. I worked in a little pizza joint. After I left there, I worked in a brewery / another college bar. And then I ended up at a place called Hotel Congress, which is kind of a world famous nightlife institution in Tucson. Really incredible live music venue, old historic hotel. It's where John Dillinger ended up getting captured because he stayed there, and there was a fire, and yada yada yada. The lore goes on and on. Every musician worth their salt has played there, or stayed there, or hung out there. It was one of those really formative experiences for me. I was there for about 4 years, doing the entire beverage program, running the nightclub.
Shoot.
Hotel Congress was, it was a formative experience for me. It was where I really started falling in love with cocktails. It's a very creative environment. Still, at the same time, they were doing some cool cocktail stuff, but it was more like I'd never worked anywhere where people made mojitos all the time. And that seems like such a strange thing to say now, but I'd never seen fresh mint in a bar, really. Maybe once or twice. It was not in 2007. It was not huge. And of course, at that time, over in New York, Death & Co. was getting established, and all these other institutions, employees only, and all these other places that were sort of at the forefront. Aughts? Yeah, this was like 2007 when I started there, and then, but I was pushed creatively just because of the situation I was in. One of the really cool things is that when you're in one of those artistic spaces with a lot of people who are musicians and artists, you do feel that creative push regardless of what it is you're doing. For me, it was cocktails. For other people, it was music. So I did a lot of research. I did a lot of learning on my own to get where I needed to be. There wasn't comprehensive training available at the time. Sure. It was just something you had to do. The internet had limited resources. I mean, one of the things we would do is go to people's websites and download their menus. So I remember downloading the original Death & Co. menu and obsessing over all the ingredients. And since we had no idea what they were doing to get those ingredients or where they got them from or how they made them, we'd have to sort of piecemeal try to put them back together from scratch, pressure our distributors. Hey, when can we get Smith & Cross rum? I remember that was one of the big ones. It was all the House Alpens portfolio was unattainable prior to 2007, 2008. I remember that was when that came out. That was the big thing. Oh my gosh, they have Scarlet Ibis rum, something that I don't think anyone uses anymore, right? But it was a big deal at the time,
right?
But Smith & Cross is still in my toolbox. But so I started doing cocktail stuff there. Luckily, there were a couple other pioneering bartenders at the time in Tucson that were doing some really cool cocktails. Some people had come from New York where they'd worked and brought some ideas. And we sort of decided that the best thing for the community was to start a chapter of the Bartenders Guild, which at the time was also very new to us. There were very few chapters. Now it's a widespread thing, but at the time it was an ordeal. And so we started a chapter from scratch, built it up in Tucson, and it was a really important thing for the community. I think now, sadly, there is no more USBG chapter in Tucson, but for many, many years it was alive and thriving, and there was a great community.
Yeah. So obviously, you worked at the Hotel Congress, and you oversaw a staff of 50 bartenders. That to me, I can't even that's mind-boggling. I can't even fathom how you wrangle that many cats in one setting. But how does that experience help you run Little Rituals today?
Well, I think that was the casino. Was 50 bartenders. But
okay.
Congress was still quite a few. Congress, we had a lot of different bars between the two properties. There'd be 20 bartenders to deal with. A lot of security, huge, large scale events. I think, I had experience doing that kind of stuff because my previous job in the college bars was very, very large staffs, sometimes 20, 30 security on staff. So I had an experience managing a lot of people. And then Congress gave me experience managing people with very big personalities.
Sure.
And then, I go back, I like to say this, I go back in time, email, I think the earliest my emails kind of go back is like 2006 maybe, but sometimes I like to go back nostalgically and look at them and just see what a terrible manager I was for some reason. because you just see nothing but emails from me to my general manager saying, "I'm so sorry I didn't get that done. I'm sorry. I'll get to it. I promise. Hey, I dropped the ball on this. I'll do, so I like to go back and, it was a learning experience. I was pretty young. I'd done a lot of management stuff by the time I was 25, which
Wow.
was,
Okay.
and for somebody who wasn't initially very serious about this industry, that was the other thing too. I kept convincing myself tomorrow is the day that I go and write the novel or move on or do something else.
Sure.
And so it wasn't really until after Congress was really underway that I decided, hey, this is actually my job. This is my career. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I need to really take this seriously.
Sure.
I had some good mentorship in the cocktail world from sort of the national people. I went to some seminars where Dale DeGroff or Tony Abou-Ganim were talking, and got inspired and was able to work with them at various points in my career, and it was really huge. But I think I had a lot of different types of management experience. So when I got to the casino, which was a much larger undertaking, I think I had a good bedrock for dealing with that, but nothing really prepares you for a casino environment. It was a big casino. It was modeled kind of after the Bellagio.
Okay.
It's opened by the same opening team that did the Bellagio. So it was very nice. It was very intensive. It was a redo of an existing property and sort of a remodel, relaunch. And I don't think they brought me on because they wanted somebody to do all the cocktails and do like a property mixologist role. And I think, that was very innovative at the time, especially in a native casino. Like, I don't think that existed anywhere in the United States at the time when I did that in 2011. One of the things that I got tasked with doing and kind of created was a tribal bartending school.
Oh,
so
wow.
We did that
Interesting.
for about 6 years. And so we would use that as the training ground to take, because the big focus for the native tribal casinos was to try to hire tribal members.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Into these roles. That's their primary directive. But the problem is, like the Pasquayaki tribe that I worked for, it's a pretty small tribe. Like, if you look at how many total tribal members there are in the world, I think it's like 30,000, something like that.
Okay.
So just think about the general population and say, in a sample size of 30,000 people, how many of those people have experience or skills that suits being a bartender?
Right.
It's probably a pretty small percentage. And definitely experience-wise, it's not very high. So we had to train people from the ground up. And we gave them like a 4-week to 6-week training course.
Sure.
Where it kind of taught them cocktail history, how to make cocktails, all the practical skills. And upon graduation, they could use that certificate as a prerequisite to get hired as a bartender at the casino.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was very successful. We did hire quite a few of those folks, and a lot of them went on to do bartending other places, but really do other amazing things in the casino that weren't even related to bartending. But I'm always proud to see them and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
I pop in sometimes and check on the team from years ago, but I think, that type of environment though was not enough for me, because the clientele and where it is in Tucson and just how it's far out. First of all, it's not in Tucson Metro.
Okay.
So to get out there, you have to drive quite a bit. And then a lot of the people that frequent casinos are not cocktail people.
Right.
They're not interested in it. They're gamers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So their focus is gaming, and they're not really interested in what you're doing with your infusions or anything like that. So, there was a ceiling. There was definitely a ceiling there. And then, like, as leadership changes happen, people kind of say, "Hey, why are we doing this? Why are we paying this guy to do these cocktails, here on property?" So, I've been there for about 7 years. I guess this takes us to really when Ross Simon kind of enters the picture.
Yeah.
I'd known Ross for a while. We were friends, doing stuff with the United States Bartenders Guild, Arizona Cocktail Weekend. This is before I was officially involved, just as an attendee, and sort of helping them out as a volunteer. I'd known him for quite a while, and he had already opened the tremendously successful Bitter and Twisted and had some track record behind him. And it came time for his partner had a hotel project next door that had a space. And he said, should we do a bar here? And Ross reached out to me and said, this is it. This is kind of the opportunity. And I had some other irons and some fires at the time and some other possible directions I could have gone. But ultimately, this was an opportunity for me to put my own stamp on a project and create something from the ground up. I wasn't just joining somebody else's team or doing something else. And I got a chance to work with Ross, and he has an incredible eye for certain things. And the way he runs his systems in his bars, I felt a lot of kinship to it, but I also wanted to learn from it. And I thought it'd be kind of good if we merged our talents per se.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more detail oriented than I am, honestly. But overall, I think that was the perfect sort of merger there. And that was 2016, 17. We started talking about it, and then I made plans to move up to Phoenix. And by the end of 2018, I'd moved up here full time to open what is now Little Rituals.
And Little Rituals is a phenomenal bar, too. If you've never been to a Phoenix, first of all, go there because the city's drink scene is incredible. And Little Rituals is phenomenal. And it's right next door to Bitter and Twisted, which I know, Doc, you mentioned. But I also know that, you're next door. Does that make it easy for you guys, you and Ross, to bounce ideas off each other? Or do you kind of still work independently?
I don't have any direct involvement with Bitter and Twisted other than
I'm talking about
Ross's
Arizona
partner
Cocktail.
here.
Yep.
Oh,
say it again.
Yeah,
I was talking about Arizona Cocktail Weekend.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. We are next door to each other. His primary place is Bitter and Twisted. My primary place is Little Rituals. We both are co-owners in Arizona Cocktail Weekend. So there's a lot of constant communication that we have about just about every aspect. We also own a company called Stabyl Beverage, which makes sort of citrus alternatives for lemon and lime currently, and we use those actually in both of our properties. But so there's not a day goes by that we aren't touching some aspect of any of those businesses, kind of the both of us together. So we spend quite a bit of time going through and strategizing about a lot of different things. So there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I have to tell you, Little Rituals was the first place that we went to have drinks at the first time we landed in Phoenix. We met friends there, and that was our very first bar that we had drinks at in Arizona. And it was a delight. We started with the Jello shots and just really went from there. It was fantastic. So I'm so
glad you had a great time and you didn't have a terrible time and never came back.
If you had
a terrible time, we would have told you anyway. But no, we had a great time. We loved it.
Yeah.
And it's a non-negotiable whenever we're in Phoenix. We have to come by Little Rituals.
Yeah. Because it's a delightful little bar. And okay, how do you get into the argument that it's a bar that happens to be in a hotel, or are you a hotel bar?
We were designed to be a hotel bar from the get-go, but we wanted to do it differently than the concept of hotel bars that most people had, which was kind of this all-day kind of maybe soulless type of entity.
Sure.
I think when you go to a lot of hotel bars, they're sort of just afterthoughts. They're just a place to throw your bag. Maybe you get a gin and tonic or something while you're sitting there. Usually the bartenders aren't particularly engaged or skilled or or they don't. A lot of times that is a direct reflection of the fact that they work for hotel groups, and
Right.
Yeah.
they might be unionized, they might not be, they might not have very much invested in the actual concept. They might be somebody who works banquets most of the time, and then one day they're in the hotel lobby serving you, and they can't wait to get back to their banquets gig.
Yeah.
So I think for us, we wanted to do something different, and we realized that we're on the fourth floor of a Marriott, which is a very
Yeah.
strange place to be for a lot of different reasons. But I think for us, it was really important for us to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the hotel, which we did so through the decor and the training and the cocktails and the drinks and the spirit selection and the music choice.
Yeah.
All of those through all of those different little things that we do, the little rituals, if you will, to differentiate ourselves from just a regular hotel bar. So we did design that from the ground up to be that way. We do enjoy when people think of us as something other than a hotel bar.
Okay.
Just think of us as a great bar. And the reason is because when you sometimes talk about hotel bars, you're talking about things with an asterisk. It's like, this is the best Marriott bar I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, how many different Marriott bars have you been in? What do they look like? Whereas somebody walks into a Sip and Guzzle in New York City, and they might go, "This is one of the most inventive bars I've ever been into."
Yeah.
Well, that's a much better statement than saying, comma, subset.
Right.
Right.
For sure.
Like one guy wrote a review that I'll never forget, and he said, after going to Little Rituals, he said, "This is by far one of the best Marriott bars I've ever been to in the Southwest."
Oh, good God.
I was like, there's so many different, Marriott bar, comma, one of the best, comma.
Yeah.
So yeah, we enjoy we like being just in the conversation of good bars. We're fine with that.
I will say, Aaron, the best thing I can say about Little Rituals is that when we're in the bar, we forget that it's a hotel. Yeah. The Marriott property just kind of falls away as soon as we sit down there, order one of your great drinks, actually look out at the view, because you actually have a really nice view of downtown from your lounge area. I think a lot of what you do with the creativity of the bar, the spirit selection, which is really great for, I'm going to say it, for a hotel bar. Because usually I know I have a lot of people that work in hotels that say, yeah, we have to have certain allocations and stuff like that. You really do a good you really do a good job of circumventing all those things that you normally see in a hotel. And that really makes you stand out as a serious bar, which is great.
That's what we had to. I think we had to, realistically. And I'm glad you kind of feel that way. We did want it to be a little transformative. We did want people to come to Little Rituals and feel like they were almost not even in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and this is the problem with being in the Southwest, is you get pigeonholed a lot as a bar or a restaurant in the Southwest. It's like, do you have Mexican food? Do you have decor that fits the Southwest theme? And the answer is no and no, but we still have plenty of things that tie us to Arizona and to the Southwest. We just don't get our focus. So we want people to feel, like it's a transformative experience when they come in the bar, but we also want there to be we have that beautiful mural that we did that has all the different Tucson and Flagstaff and Arizona landmarks.
Yeah.
So there's always a reminder of where you are and what state you're in, but we're not beating you over the head with a Coca-Pelli playing with golf clubs, or, the coyote with the neckerchief. We there's none of that kind of traditional kitschy Southwestern type of stuff.
The gecko on the wall.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Phoenix for a second, because Phoenix over the past 15, 20 years has really turned into a destination, a spot that people want to go to. Do you think that the prominence of the cocktail scene that has grown with Phoenix. Do you think that that's been a major factor in what's made people want to go to Phoenix?
I certainly think that, like, culinary always boosts a city.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's symbiotic. You need people to fuel the culinary scene. So Phoenix has been lucky that we've had a lot of transplants coming into Phoenix always. Phoenix is traditionally a transplant city. Most people are not from here. Mostly it's people moving here for the growth of the city. A lot of people from California. There's good and bad things to the way people are moving out here. One of the bad things is that it's increasing urban sprawl. We're starting to see communities really far stretched. I mean, the metro area is expanding, and also there's people moving to cities like Buckeye, which is 45 minutes away from downtown,
Wow.
50 minutes away from where you can still get large affordable houses. Or, I mean, there are no affordable houses now, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. Totally.
You can get a house for $600,000 and it's 4 bedroom, 2 bath, or whatever, and it's it is out in the middle of nowhere, but these little communities are kind of springing up. So when those people move there and they live in those communities, they're not probably going to be a guest at Little Rituals, at least not often.
Right.
So in general, that doesn't necessarily help the F&B community, but in overall, the population boom has definitely fueled the all of the different openings. I mean, we have too many openings. I'm going to be really honest.
Okay.
Probably something that is a problem for the entire F&B community at large. There are these spurts that we've been going through, especially after the pandemic, where people were like, let's open a bunch of restaurants. Hey, food is hot. Foodies are hot. Let's do a restaurant. Let's open, and there are restaurant groups that are right now in Phoenix opening 5, 6 concepts over the course of 2 years. It's, to me, unsustainable. And I understand that, like, people have their own objectives and that they're business people and they're doing what they need to do. And a lot of it's really cool. But as a business owner that's been doing this for 7 years here, I can say I don't see the traffic to sustain that.
Right.
It's also, you run into a quality versus quantity thing too, right? I mean, for me anyway, I would think that operating 2 spots really, really well is a whole lot better than running 7 spots that are above average. So
Yes. From a pride standpoint, but as our margins have shrunk over the years, I mean, I remember when I got into the bar business, we used to expect a 25% return on running a bar, and that's just not the case anymore. You're in the teens if you're lucky. Most people are in the single digits, and because of that, and you need so much startup capital and so expensive to do these projects, you kind of need to have, like, so let's say you have 2 or 3 owners, you kind of need to have 2 or 3 places at least, because otherwise nobody's making enough money to make it worth it, right? Like, it's great to own a quarter of a bar, but if your bar makes $50,000 a year, you're making 12,500.
yeah,
You obviously can't live on that, right? So you must have another job, but running a bar also requires almost like full-time involvement. So it's a very delicate, difficult balance. So I'm excited by how much growth there's been in Phoenix, and I want there to continue to be great new places. I wish there was a little bit more focus, and I wish people were doing it a little bit more purposefully and with intent and slower, as opposed to doing it for the sake of doing it. I think there's a lot of cookie cutter concepts out there that are just going in, a lot of which will never be successful. They'll just turn over into another cookie cutter concept.
Yeah.
We have a lot of regional chains here, like local chains, which is fine. I mean, they're local restaurants, but it's like when you look in these community forums, people are saying, "Oh, what we really need is we need a XYZ," and they mention usually a chain restaurant or usually some sort of another chain that's local. And what we should be doing encouraging the unique concepts going into these places.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, those unique concepts is really what changed our perception of Phoenix in general. Well, the first time we went there, we were married, was I think 2007, 2008, and it felt like one giant sprawling suburb, like one big bedroom community. And we're like, oh, we don't need to go back to Phoenix. But then, seeing the growth on the cocktail side, we're like, yep, we are going to Phoenix. We're going to Arizona Cocktail Weekend every year, no questions asked. That's a non-negotiable. And I will say to your credit, Aaron, you and Ross's work, Arizona Cocktail Weekend has a lot to do with that. And that leads me to my next question. Are you satisfied with the trajectory that Arizona Cocktail Week has taken in the last decade?
I mean, it's complete. I guess I would say I'm very satisfied with the way it's gone over the past 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I think there was, I mean, obviously it's grown in the last decade for sure. We were in a rut for a while. If you go back far enough, we used to do this in Scottsdale and not downtown Phoenix.
Right.
Okay.
Which was really cool. We did this at a cool mid-century property called the Valley Ho, which was beautiful.
Oh,
yeah, we know about
made a lot of
yeah.
sense. If you've been there, they do Tiki Oasis there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really cool. They have this, they have like the original Trader Vic's that used to be in Phoenix. That building is on property and they use it for events. And it had an area for like seminars and it had a beverage kitchen and all these incredible things that like I would die for right now.
Right.
Yeah.
But what it didn't have is a really good walkability factor. There wasn't very much interest from the community at the time, especially in the Scottsdale community. And so one of the most important pivotal things we did, and it was a big risk, once we moved it downtown, that really opened up a whole new audience to us. It put us kind of in the forefront of the arts and music scene. It kind of plugged us into walkability, all of the different venues in downtown, so many of them aligned with the values and what we were trying to do with Arizona Cocktail Weekend. So it was a lot better for us to sort of build our event, the downtown area. So I think that was a big change. And then we've sort of streamlined ourselves over the years. The last few years, we are growing, but we're trying to manage that growth because one thing we don't want to take away from the event is that intimacy and the fact that you can go and you can see so many great bartenders and feel like you're getting to connect with them and connect with other people in the community without, and love Tales, but going to Tales of the Cocktail is it's an adventure, right? It's its own beast.
Yeah.
And every year I go to Tales, there are people that I know pretty well that I don't even see over the course of 7 days. Right. Don't see them once.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to run into them. Not the case with Arizona Cocktail Weekend. I think you get much more direct connections with people. I think the suppliers who are involved are our supplier partners. I think they see a great mixture of trade and also consumer. Because there's a lot of consumers that go to the event.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that we make it inaccessible where the consumers feel like they're at somebody else's party. That's another thing that, like, if you go to Tales and you're not even when you are a bartender, I remember the first few Tales I went to, I felt like an outsider. I didn't feel like I belonged there. Even though I'd been in the industry for like, 10, 12 years. I was like, why do I feel like I shouldn't be here? I wasn't part of the cool kids club, and I think
you weren't at the right bars.
Arizona Cocktail Weekend doesn't encourage that. So I think everyone is part of that club when they come to Arizona Cocktail Weekend.
Yeah, and that's really evident for me going to some of the bigger events that Arizona Cocktail Weekend has, such as the carnival and the top bars. The carnival especially is like it just feels like a great welcome party. It feels really like a community, whether you're in the industry or not, where it's like, here, have you tried this? This is a cool thing. You should know about this. And it's a really cool vibe. And you guys really do a phenomenal job with that. And
so what is next? I guess is probably the best way to kind of end this. Is what's next for Little Rituals? What's next for Aaron DeFeo? What's next on the trajectory for the next coming year or so?
Mm-hmm.
You've won
Well,
tails. Now where?
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do for an encore?
Pushing because I think we have the best team overall that we've ever had. Top to bottom, I think the most buy-in. We've had some really incredible people in the past. We had Chanel Godwin McMakin was our lead bartender for many years. It sucks she wasn't able to be a part of the team when we won that award because she put so much effort into it. And there's been other people too, really talented people that worked here who didn't get that shot. But the team we have right now is really incredible. And, we've been up for some other awards that we haven't won that I think were pretty meaningful. Like we've 3 times we've been a James Beard semifinalist.
Okay.
So my hope is, cross our fingers, maybe we'll get to the finalist level or something like that. That would be really fun. But even if we don't, that's something we're shooting for. We want to be in those conversations. We don't want to rest on our laurels. I'm not out there to win best cocktail bar in America. I don't think that's a realistic thing for almost anyone to really shoot for. What we want to do is continue to make Little Rituals incredible because we want the community to love it. We don't want it to just be a place that has a tails plate and closes in a couple of years. We want to have, repeat business. We want to have a community of regulars. We want to provide for our team. We want everyone who works here to work here as long as they possibly can and feel enriched and feel like they're getting career development. So we're going to focus a lot on that too, doing some stuff in the community, doing some stuff in the across the country at large, some pop-ups, some collaborations, some events, things to keep people pushing. But we're also looking to re-up our Pinnacle certification.
Sure.
And that's becoming a really big thing now, and it's really truly one of the best awards out there. Which is it's
cool.
Yeah, so we've got a 1 pin last time. We think we can do a 2 pin.
Get a 2 pin. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe more, but definitely I think the 2 pin is a great thing to shoot for. And that just keeps, that alone, the criteria for the Pinnacle Guide, if we go for that, even if we don't get 3 pins or 2 pins, the way it improves our business from the ground up in terms of our guest experience and just our team in general, it's worth it to me.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say one thing about you created a guest experience, Aaron, is like one thing that's always stuck out is a couple years ago we were talking about Palomas. And, you make your own house grapefruit soda for your Paloma Little Rituals, but you also have a few cans of squirt underneath the bar. To me, that really is a commitment to giving the guest the experience that they want on a level. It's like, I think you told me it's like, the guest comes in and says, "Oh, you have grapefruit soda, but I like squirt." I'm like, "Oh, good. Sweat. I like squirt too. I have a can for you. I got you." That is a phenomenal example to me of you really connecting with the community and really building on that experience that the guest wants. And you do that so very well. I don't care if Norm Macdonald will make fun of you. Which, before we sign off,
Rich wants to know about this.
What's up with that? I read that on your on something. I can't remember where I read it at, but I think bartenders or something like that. And I just had to ask.
So I've met Norm several times in my life. The first time was at the casino at Casino del Sol, and he was doing a stand. It was him and Kevin Nealon were both doing a stand-up show together, and they both walked up to my bar in the afternoon. There was no one there. It was at where it was situated. It was a steakhouse bar, but it was like outside of the steakhouse, so it was right by the event center, so it kind of functioned as almost like an event bar sometimes when. And they just happened to walk up after they were doing a sound check. And I don't think either of them drink anymore or ever really. I don't think Norm Macdonald ever was really a huge drinker, but He kind of, I'm not going to do a Norm Macdonald impersonation because
No,
I'm
no,
just not going to do it justice. But if you think about him saying it, he just kind of came up in his very deadpan way. He was like making fun of me for the number of bitters that we had behind the bar. And then, kind of said something about getting like, can I get like a regular drink without all those fancy bitters you got back there? And like, so it was really fun having him kind of poke fun at me for a few minutes. And then years later, when I opened Little Rituals, he stayed here at this hotel, strangely enough. And it was kind of when we first opened.
Okay.
He came back like 3 different times during his weekend. He was there every single day.
Wow.
Just to get this dessert that we had. Ross's wife made this incredible sort of version of the Momofuku crack pie that they did.
Okay.
And so we did a version of that on our menu, and he came in 3 times for it. In fact, he bought an entire one to take back to Los Angeles with him.
I love that.
That's awesome.
But, I wish I had I wish I'd spent more time with him, but I'm one of those people that, I don't like to bother celebrities when they're
True.
like having experiences, like take photos with them. I should have gotten a photo with him because, it's sort of priceless at that point. But, the fact that he came in multiple times and he loved the place was enough for me.
Yeah, for sure.
That's super cool, though. That's something to cherish for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So
we have come to the end of the interview, but
this is the last call.
It is the last call, and what we like to do at the end of our interview is if somebody was to come to Little Ritual, if somebody was to come to visit Phoenix for the first time and sit at your bar, we would hope that you would want to send them out into the city, out into your neighborhood, and learn a bit more about it. So I'm going to give you some questions about Phoenix and whatnot, and hopefully you have some answers for me. So if I were to be at Little Rituals and have a cocktail at your bar, where should I go next for my next cocktail stop?
Well, if you don't go down to Bitter and Twisted, you're missing out on the legendary OG cocktail powerhouse here in Phoenix. I mean, I think it should be a stop on everybody's list. I think, sometimes if you've been around a long time, people just kind of take it for granted, but I think it's, the destination.
Oh, absolutely.
You should definitely.
It's worth going for the menu alone. That menu is spectacular every year. Just artwork.
All right. Now I'm hungry. Where am I going to go get a burger?
Different styles of burger in Phoenix.
Right.
I think everyone will probably say Bad Jimmy's or maybe Stoop Kid. They're both downtown. Bad Jimmy's now has multiple locations. They do a fantastic sort of smash burger, the style of the day, if you will.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a place called Harvey's Wine Burger, which is sort of a dive bar that does really good burgers. And I just love the hospitality of that place so much that I do like the burger too, but like I think it's part and parcel of the experiences. You go there and like the bartender comes out and serves you, and just really it's just a really great dive bar that happens to have incredible hamburgers too. So
fantastic.
I'm sold.
All right, I've got an afternoon to kill. What should I be doing?
See, I'm a little bit of a homebody these days, so I wish I could say that there were we have great museums and stuff like that. I'm not going to suggest bars because we already know you're going to go to all the cocktail bars.
Right.
One of the kind of cool things that I like to do that's unique to Phoenix is we have like a wetlands here in Phoenix, which a lot of people don't realize this. Probably people that live here don't realize this, but probably 25, 30 minutes southwest of downtown, we have a thriving wetlands, Rios, that you can go spend the day at. I mean, there's multiple different lakes and rivers and things that are in that area. So that's one thing I recommend. It's a little bit more rustic. It's not like developed. It's kind of part of the Salt River chain, but they're using reclaimed water to sort of build these wetlands, which is it's really cool. A lot of birding opportunities. And then if you have 45 minutes or an hour, I always suggest following the Salt River east and going to like Saguaro Lake and Canyon Lake, which are both very close. You can get on like a sort of little steamboat looking thing and spend the day out there. It's absolutely beautiful, but that's what I would do if I had an afternoon.
Okay.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I love that wetlands tip.
What's a cocktail currently on the menu that we shouldn't miss?
I think one of the really cool ones to try is a cocktail called Cream. It's abbreviated, kind of like the Wu-Tang song. It's cachaça rules everything around me. But it's a or Calvados, I guess. It's Calvados and cachaça cocktail that our lead bartender Frank De La Cruz came up with. Really gorgeous cocktail, super aromatic, absolutely delicious, craveable. The ingredients would not suggest at first glance. There's a lot of cool things in there. There's green apple, there's cachaça, Calvados, but there's also cilantro and wasabi, which is a couple sort of ingredients that are off the beaten path, and you might not think go really well with all those things. And in fact, when we make the cocktail, it's done with some Greek yogurt too, so that's the clarification aspect of it. When it's clarifying, it smells very gross because all of the pulp and the yogurt catches all that wasabi and sort of brings it to the top. So it's very strong and aromatic. But when the cocktail comes out, it's this beautiful, crystal clear, delicious cocktail with vegetal notes and anise, and there's cinnamon in there, and there's all these beautiful flavors. It's truly a work of art.
That sounds amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah.
All right. And then lastly, if I'm going to close up the night, where am I going to go for a beer and a shot?
Woo! Beer and a shot. I love. I'm a dive bar person. There's a place called Swizzle Inn, which I really enjoy in Midtown Phoenix. They just changed owners, but it's pretty much the same place. But they've got like kind of Christmas lights up all the time in there. Just a great local spot. I think it's a great place for beer and a shot. But if you're in industry and you're looking to find somebody you know maybe, or somebody you don't know and you want to hang out with, Gracie's is the spot. It's where all the cool kids go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good spot for a while. Yeah.
Good to know.
Well, that sounds great. I think Gracie sounds very familiar, so that I'm not surprised to hear you say that. That's excellent. Well, Doc, thank you so much for joining us today here on Manning Overboard. Really, really appreciate you, and hope you had as much fun as we did talking to you. If people want to find you on the socials, where should they look?
I do have an Instagram. It's Doc DeFeo. That's my Instagram, like my last name. And then, of course, following Little Rituals Bar, Arizona Cocktail Weekend, AZ Cocktail Weekend. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we got going on.
Fantastic. And you should follow those because, be just informed on the Phoenix scene in general and Arizona Cocktail Weekend and Little Rituals. They're all fabulous. And remember, gang, we can be found as well at Manning Overboard on Instagram or shoot us an email at manningoverboard@gmail.com for questions or comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always happy to talk to you all out there, and we look forward to our next happy hour with you. Cheers.
Cheers, friends.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I did the last bit of gin Ricky for the last cheers. Yeah, that had no chance. Gotta owe me a gin Ricky.
Manning Overboard, Happy Hour with Hotcakes and the Captain is produced and distributed by EatsDrinksTV.
A service of the nonprofit Center for Culinary Culture, home of the Cocktail Collection,
The Center for Culinary Culture,
telling the story of food and drink, one taste at a time.